this is Kim with Mom's Creative Moments, and I am bringing you a project recipe today for our new, for the quarter number 2 beginner layout. And so this is a project recipe that was specifically designed by our home office designers for those of you who are just starting to try to figure out how a project recipe works and how it might help you enhance your albums. So let's check out what's in my workspace, and I'll go through it with you in detail. This is a lesson really for designed more for the beginner or for someone who needs a refresher. So if you are more advanced, maybe just fast forward through my talking and see, what we're doing later in the lesson if you want to do the layout, or choose a different video to watch. Okay, so anyway, let's check out my workspace and we'll get right to it. Okay, so this is my workspace for the day, and we are going to use a kind of a mini pack of paper that comes with or has some additional embellishments that were created for it. This is the Baked with Love pack of paper, and the 16 little mini embellishments that come in this little mini embellishment pack, similar to the pack that you would get if you went to National Scrapbook Day or Croptoberfest. It is a super cute little pack of paper. It's a mini pack, so or a half pack. So you get 6 sheets of paper. They're all double-sided, and if you have a baker in your family, this is just the cutest. You cannot order this for yourself online unless you're an advisor. So if you are not an advisor and you're watching this and you want to get this packet of paper and the embellishments, contact me, or if you are an advisor, just go on your website and look under your advisor exclusives, and it should be located right there. Anyway, super cute, and I love that it even has a KitchenAid mixer in it as an embellishment. So really, really cute stuff. Anyway, we're going to use this today. And so we'll get back to the embellishments in a little bit. I'm just going to set them over here to the side. This is what our beginner project recipe for quarter 2 looks like. And every project recipe is going to look very similar to this. You're going to have a picture of the layout already put together with papers that were chosen by the designer who created it, most likely. And then you're going to have what we call a sketch, which is what this is right here. And the sketch shows you what the design is made to look like in variants of gray. It does that for a reason. And the reason is so that you can see that all of these super, super dark colors, those are going to be pictures. And it actually gives you the size of the pictures. This is a 6x4 photo. This is a 3.5x3.5 photo. This is a 4x4 photo. Okay, so it tells you exactly how large of a photo to crop, if you're going to need to crop it for that space, or if you can use just a regular 4x6 photo in that space. Or these are suggestions. They are general guidelines. You can modify this however you want because it's your page. But if you want it to look just like this up here, this is how you would do it. Then you go down to the next shade of gray, which would be this square right here, and look over here on this side for a matching shade of gray, which is this one right here. So you kind of use the same, generally you use the same paper for whatever the gradient of gray is that you have on both sides of the paper. I don't know if you can see this, but this heart paper that is the square background here is also used to mat these 2 photos up here. And so you can see, they didn't do it in this one, they should have, but this is grayed out, and then you have a gray around these photos as well. Unfortunately, it doesn't match this. It should, but it doesn't. So in our beginner project recipes, they're doing a great job of keeping it as simple as possible. You need to choose 2 base pages for your layout, and then you're only going to be cutting 1 sheet of paper. So in our more advanced project recipes, you're often cutting 2 to 3 different pieces of paper, sometimes 4 or 5 depending on the way the design is put together. But in our beginner ones, you're only having to cut 1, so it comes together really, really quickly. This is going to give you the different shades of gray to show you the different sizes. It's going to give you measurements. It's going to label them with an alphabetic label, A, B, C, and D. And generally, when you get instruction from an advisor, they're going to suggest that you invest in some Post-it notes, and that as you cut each piece, you label that piece with a Post-it note with the corresponding letter, so that later you can go back if you have an extra piece maybe, or if you're searching for, you know, the piece that goes here, you can go, oh, that is piece B, and then you can refer to your cutting guide and say, oh, piece B was made with this paper, and it should be over here, you know. So it just helps. It helps give you a little bit of direction. After you've done a bunch of these, you may not need to label them anymore. I typically don't ever worry about labeling them, but that's because I've done hundreds of these, so I really don't need to. But if it helps you, get some Post-it notes and label each of these pieces as you cut them. It definitely is a big help, especially when you're just learning. Okay, so first of all, let me show you the papers that we're going to use for this layout. Now, I've chosen the butcher block paper to use as my base sheets, because if you've watched any of my channel, you know that I'm a matchy-matchy kind of person. I am not a super big fan of mixing and matching my base sheets. However, you could flip it over maybe and just make it a little bit different, a little bit off, because butcher block is usually, you know, you can see the varying shades in it. Let's see, the back says yum and is brown, which is not super, you know, fantastic, excuse me, or anything. So this is going to be used as my base sheets. And I'm going to use this one as the one that we're going to cut. This one has a cute design on this side with the measuring spoons and the hot pads, the whisks and rolling pins and the mixer and all of that. But it also has the hearts on the back, which is really cute. It's the one that is used in the sample, and I don't always use, you know, go ahead and do the ones that are, use the same papers so that you can see a difference. And get another example of what it might look like. But since I only had 6 papers to choose from, or basically 3 papers to choose from, because there's 3 that are double-sided, and you get 2 of each of those, I decided that I like this one best. It really is the cutest. So we're going to go with this one. Now, this is a directional paper, so what that means is that you have to be careful, especially with your initial cuts, about the direction that you're cutting. So we want this first piece that we're going to cut right here, this 4 by 12 piece that goes across the top, we want that to be horizontal, because you can see in the sketch that piece A is going to go all the way across the right hand side of the layout. So we want our mixers to be right or standing up and not sideways. So in order to do that, we're going to make sure that we cut horizontally through to make our 4-inch piece. That means I'm going to turn this sideways so that I can make a horizontal cut at 4 inches. This is using my Creative Memories 12-inch trimmer, which is like my right arm. If you don't have one of these, I suggest you get one, and right now we're having a special and you can get a free decorative blade, so you can't hardly beat that. So I just measured this at 4 inches right here and cut it, so 4 by 12, because each of these papers are already 12 inches. Now I'm going to turn this back around, and I'm going to grab the arm on the side of my trimmer and pull that out so that I can measure an 8-inch piece, because we have an 8-inch square here that I need to cut. So measuring out here to 8 inches, I'm going to fold my arm back down, push and slide my blade, and I have an 8-inch square. Now that leaves me with an 8 by 4 inch piece, and we need two 4 by 4 inch squares. So I'm going to turn this one again horizontally so that I can cut it right in half at 4 inches and have two 4-inch squares. All right, and that is all the cutting that we need to do, unless we need to trim our photos down. And you can use this, if you're comfortable with it, to trim your photos, or there is also the guillotine trimmer, which many people feel is much better at cutting photographs. I don't have one of those. I've never had one of those, and I am very comfortable with using just my 12-inch trimmer. So it just depends on your comfort zone and what you can afford and what you've got. Okay, so I'm going to lay my base pages out right here, and going to I'm just thinking that I don't have my adhesive. Let me go grab my adhesive, which I think I brought with me for another project away from my home recently. So be right back. Michael, are you up there?
No.
Oh.
He's out. I can go get him though.
On the counter on the island is my yellow adhesive. Can you grab it and drop it down here to me, please? I think it's up there. I noticed it somewhere. Whoop, thank you.
Hot potato.
Hot potato. Thank you very much. All right, so I use predominantly two different kinds of adhesive. The green cartridge has repositionable adhesive in it. It's always green right here on the inside. And I have a green holder that I keep it in so that I make sure I know that that's repositionable. Then the permanent adhesive, or the longer holding adhesive, is a clear cartridge. And I just happen to have this Do More of What Makes You Happy cover, and it makes me happy, so I leave my adhesive in this, and I always know it's my permanent adhesive. Okay, so we're going to use the permanent adhesive because we don't have anything with holes in it that we need to use our temporary adhesive for. And the first thing I'm going to do is put this long strip right here in place. So I'm going to go ahead and add my adhesive, and when I do that, I'm only going to put about a half to 3/4 of an inch of permanent adhesive each time I put it down. I'm going to touch it to my paper, pull it back, twist it, and it will break right off. Okay, I'm going to do that in about 5 places down a 12-inch strip. Okay, so in each of my corners, and then in the middle, and then in the center of the top half and the bottom half. Okay, I'm going to do that on both sides, and the more you do this, the faster you can go, so don't worry if it takes you a little bit of time at first to get the hang of that. But we're going to, I'm going to switch this back over. You'll see, you can see right here on the instructions, it gives you step-by-step instructions, because this is a beginner project recipe. But I'm going to go ahead and walk you through that, so you don't need to see all of that. All right, so when you take a look at this sketch, you can see that this piece is a good roughly an inch from the bottom of your right hand base. So if you're working on a mat like I am, and I highly recommend that if you have one available, if you're a quilter or a crafter and you have a craft mat that has a grid on it, then that will help you a lot, because you can easily see where an inch would be, and it will help you line your paper up. Okay, so I'm just going to put that down right on top of my base sheet on the right. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and get my 2 mats, and I'm going to go ahead and put those down, and they're going to go down above this piece of paper. But because I don't have anything else, look at that, that's me. I just I'm grabbing an extra photo so I can see approximately where my photo might go. Now, because I'm using the butcher block paper, it's going to help me to be able to line up my photos, which is really, really nice. I can see, because of the lines on the wood that are on that paper, exactly where my photo is going to want to go. And so I'm just going to use the line right across here, which looks to be about almost half. It's about 1/8 of an inch shy of halfway up my paper. And let me just make sure it's level. Now that I think about it, it's not quite. So maybe we should not use that. Maybe I'll use my eyes instead. But at any rate, that's about the level that I'm going to want to put my photos at. And that's going to help me place these 2 mats so that I'm not putting them in the wrong place. Now, if you're making a layout and you're not sure what you're going to use it for, I use my repositionable adhesive. I just put a little bit right in the middle of my mat so that I don't lose it. And then I go ahead and place it on my page about where I think it's going to go. Okay. Now, when you come back with your photo and you know what photo is going to go there, if you like where they're placed, by all means, leave them there. But this gives you the option of being able to pop this paper off without tearing the base or the top sheet, and you can rearrange it how you need to for the photos that you're going to use. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put both of those mats temporarily, again, they're on with our repositionable adhesive right here, and that's where our photos are going to go. And you can see this is a 4-inch photo, so it's going to need to be trimmed down just a little bit. When you use a 4-inch mat, all you need to do is take a 1/4 inch off of either side of a 4-inch photo, and it will be matted perfectly on a 4-inch mat. Okay, now I'm going to switch over here. Let's get rid of her because we don't need her looking at us. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and use the heart side out because I think it's a little bit less distracting than the other, and we're going to have the cute mixer hot pad pattern in embellishments and other things, so I'm not really worried about not seeing it. Plus we can see it down here also. Alright, so make sure your hearts are going in the right direction, and we're just going to center this on this page. Now, if you have a good eye, you can probably take a look at it and center it with no issues. If you don't have that great of an eye, or you don't trust your eye, which sometimes happens, you can go ahead and line your paper up on your grid. You can get what we call a 0 centering ruler, which looks like this. This ruler starts with 0 in the middle and works its way out to 6 inches on either side, so it's a full 12-inch ruler. And it's very handy because of the grid lines on it. You can line up your paper at 2 inches, which is going to be right here, that line. You can put the 2-inch line that's right here. It's just above where it says Creative Memories. The grid line right above that is your 2-inch line. You can line that up with the base of your paper, and the reason I'm saying 2 inches is because this is an 8-inch square. We have a 12-inch base. We want an even amount at the top and an even amount at the bottom. That means I need 2 inches at the top and 2 inches at the bottom. Okay? So if I have the 2-inch mark shown at the bottom, I can just put my paper right on top, line it up, and it's straight. No worries. Then all I need to do is take a look at my ruler again and place my paper at the 2-inch mark here and the 2-inch mark here, and my paper is perfectly centered. And all I need to do is press down. Cool, huh? All right. So now I've got my paper where I need it to be, and all I need are the 2 photos that are going to go on this. So for the sake of sharing what this might look like, let me pull out that fun photo of me again. We're just going to pretend it's sideways, and we're going to just lay these on here so we can take a look. Now they put about a good healthy inch in between the photos, which means that you've got a considerable amount of the photo, or probably a ½ inch of the photo sticking off of either side, and a good inch in the middle. All right, so it would look something like that. And then we can take these cute embellishments that we have that match. By the way, inside your little mini die cut pack, this piece of paper that's inside here is photo safe. It's a heavier gauge paper, cardstock, and it is shiny, so you might wonder if it's okay to use. It is perfectly okay to use. And this one happens to show, have a recipe outline, so you could actually write a recipe on here and use this to place on this layout and include the recipe for whatever treat it is that you've taken photos of, which I think is really, really cute and fun. Okay, so we need to make some clusters. Do you see how they have a recipe card, this little recipe card they've used and put off to the side right here? They've got the bowl with the whisk and the heart with it, and then the jar that says baked with love is in there too, and on top. And we use foam squares to pop these up off of our paper, and that makes adds another dimension to what we're trying to do. So we've got another embellishment cluster up here, which is this mixer with the little baking fun banner that you see right here. Kind of overlaps a little bit like that. We've got yum, and then a hot pad, and the other heart right here that are kind of together down here. That's tucked a little bit underneath to make an embellishment for the bottom underneath the photo down here. You see that right here? All right, so basically what you want is you want 3 photos, or I'm sorry, you want 3 clusters of embellishments. Each cluster needs to have an odd number of things in it. Okay, so when you look at this up here, really that's 2 embellishments, but it serves the eye and it looks like an odd number because you've got the baking fun banner, you've got the mixer itself, and you've got the mixing bowl. which catch your eye. Okay, down here you've got the word yum, you've got a hot pad, and you've got the heart. And so that makes up your 3. Over here you've got the mixing bowl, you've got the heart, and you've got the jar of goodies. They don't really include the whisk because you don't notice the whisk as much, I guess, or maybe it's just not. I don't know. I've never had a class in this. I just know what I know from experience. But I think it makes a nice cluster having the heart in there. I think it would be lacking if you didn't have one of those elements. And then you don't necessarily need anything extra over with the recipe card, although you could if you wanted to add more. But years ago we used to talk about stickers and just putting stickers in any of the areas that didn't have photos. And then what we'd end up with is pages that looked like someone sneezed stickers all over their page. And it's distracting when you look at a page and you're trying to focus on the photos, and instead of the embellishments enhancing the photos, they distract. And we don't want to distract from the photos. The photos are the focus. And so we want to make sure that we are just enhancing that instead of distracting. Now, the placement of these, you'll notice you've got one in the upper third, one in the lower third, and one right in the middle, the midline of vision. You've also got one, if you imagine kind of crosshairs on your paper like tic-tac-toe, your embellishments are best placed where those lines come together for tic-tac-toe. All right, and sometimes you can't always put them there, but that is the best placement for them. It's also best if your photos are in those places. So the photos being the focus, you're going to want those there first. And then if you don't have a photo where where 2 lines might cross, that might be a good place to put your embellishment. Do you see how they did that here? They've got photos where the lines cross in the center 2 quadrants. Then they've got this embellishment where the lines cross over here. They've got this embellishment where the lines cross over here. All right. This helps with the eye movement through your page. And that's really important, but it's not something that we think about when we're trying to decide how to line up our paper and our pictures. Sometimes I know when I first started, I used to just focus on how many photos I could get squeezed onto a page because I had a really tight budget. And I was trying to make sure that all of the photos that we took that we wanted to keep and remember were represented. And I would crop them really small so that I would have just a bunch of photos on the page. I don't do that anymore, partly because I don't have to, and partly because it really does look much better if you don't. And so, we do what we have to do, and it's better to have a page done and representing your memories, however it is that you are going to do it. But if you have the capability and are able to, it is better if you can allow some space and some breathing room for your eyes, if you know what I mean. Your eye needs a resting space. Okay, so that's why we now recommend that you have clusters of embellishments and you put them in these specific places, because from a design standpoint, and professional designers will tell you that is best. Now, when you are looking through a magazine next time, take a look at where your favorite ads have embellishments and see if they follow these rules, because I would bet you're going to find that they do. At any rate, let's go ahead and put these clusters together and get them put on our page. I'm going to grab my foam squares right here, and I love this Happiness is Homemade. I really believe in that, and we we have a gather with grateful hearts upstairs in my in our family space as well, because I think that's really important too. Okay, so let's see. Let's go ahead and put some of these together. I'm just going to add just a little bit of repositionable adhesive to these, and we're going to just sort of stick them together. If you know anything about our repositionable adhesive, you can add it to your design and you don't have to worry about where it is, because wherever it is, if you don't need it, you can always rub it off later. Okay, see how I have, I don't know if you can see that. It's hard to see on camera, but oh, there's a little bit of it. Can you see the shininess of where those dots are? Okay, so that's adhesive from my repositionable adhesive. Now I'm going to go ahead and rub that off now that I have these stuck where I want them to be. All I have to do is rub my finger right over it and it comes right off. So now we shouldn't see any of those at all because they're all gone. Cool, huh? Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add my foam squares. When I add my foam squares, I'm going to make sure that I'm placing my foam squares over the overlapping joints of my embellishments. And that's only important because you want to give your welding areas or welded areas a little bit more support, especially since these are just barely stuck together. The corners are just the points that are overlapped, so there's not much there. Okay, and I've just placed my foam squares in some of the main areas to keep this lifted up off of the page. And we're going to just go ahead and place this on here. Now, if you are like me, you're looking at this and you're saying to yourself, oh dear, okay, I'm going to have a photo. Imagine this is a 4x4 photo that's going to go down here, and it's going to need to be underneath there. Yes, you're right, it is. So what we do is we don't take the cover piece off of the foam squares where it's going to come in contact with a photo. Okay, and since I don't have my photo on here yet, it makes it really hard to tell where it's going to go. So I'm just going to add a couple of foam squares to this lower area so I can definitely have a place where this is going to adhere. If I had been a little more careful about where I put my foam squares and put them just a little lower, then that would have helped. I would have helped myself out with that, but I didn't, so my fault. Okay, but because we have these and they're more in the area where the photo is going to need to slip in, I'm not going to take the tabs off of the top of these to reveal that other sticky side. I'm going to leave it on there. That's going to keep this popped up off the page and allow me to put a photo down behind it when I decide what photo that is going to be. Okay, so I'm just going to stick that down just with those couple of foam squares. They're going to stay right there, and my photo is still going to be able to come in behind it, and all will be well. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll add or put together this other one. Okay. Like so. So I'm putting, once again, my foam squares are going right on the welded spaces first. And then you'll notice that we have way more small foam squares on this page than we have large ones. You really don't need a huge foam square on every single little area. What you need are enough that it's going to keep your embellishment lifted up. Okay, so I'm just going to put just that many. This one up here is kind of welding the whisk to my jar, just a little bit. And this one's going to go right here in the middle. Oops, almost lost my rolling pin. So I'm going to go ahead and just take off these center two tabs and not worry about the other ones, because once again, we're not really sure where our photos are going to go. And just in case I want to add more photos, or just in case I'm not really liking where this is, I'm going to only put this down with those two main foam squares. Okay? And then this too, you can put on with a foam square and lift it off the page. Or you could just go ahead and adhere this down. I would not adhere it or put adhesive on these corners that are going to overlap your photos. I would put adhesive on this side and put it on there. It'll stay in place and you don't have to worry about it. Okay, we're just going to add this guy to our mixer and then add some foam squares to the back. And then this layout will be all done and ready to go. All right, let's see. I'm just going to use two little ones right here up at the top. All right, and then this one is going to go right up here. And I'm going to go ahead and uncover. You know what? I'm going to leave this tab. I changed my mind. I'm going to leave these tabs on the lower adhesive just in case I want to move those when I have the photos that I want. Just in case I want to move these mats. I don't want my embellishment stuck to my mats, okay? So it's easier to work around my already stuck down embellishment if I've only stuck down the part that is higher on the page. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and place that right there. Okay, and you can see how again I can stick a picture up underneath there if I need to. So all is well. All right, so just gonna put that picture back up there. Okay, I think we are about done with this layout. I'm not gonna put this on until I have other photos. So, ooh, this photo got caught. Okay. Well, we are, I believe, good to go with that. I'm going to put my little tabs that were covering my photo squares in the trash. All right, so here is our cute beginner Q2 layout. I hope that you've enjoyed spending this time with me. I hope it's been helpful and that you have learned a little bit more about how to make fun and easy pages that are beautiful for your own album. If you have any questions or concerns, be sure you leave me a comment, and hopefully you have subscribed to my page so you'll get more of these. I do some more complicated layouts, but I also do some easy ones, so check the tab where it says beginner layouts, and I try to tag those so that you can see all of those together and get easy access to easier layouts. All right? Thanks so much for joining me, and until next time, I hope you have many more creative moments. Have a great day.